Go ahead and I'm going to watch your questions over here on in the Twitch chat. But the remote targeting range, that is actually on my next slide, so where I can explain that a bit. This one right here, now basically if you look, you can see this blue dot right here is supposed to be represent the Mastodon. Okay, and this right here is supposed to represent another boat in your fleet that is not the Mastodon. Okay, and the Mastodon actually has two separate ranges. You have your regular standard weapon range, which is the inside gray circle. The outside gray circle represents a range boost limit. Okay, so basically, if you have another hull in your fleet, it has its own weapon range, as you can see here. But if that weapons range crosses into the Mastodon's boost range, then that target can be fired upon. This red boat right here is an enemy that can be fired upon, as is this one by the Mastodon. The Mastodon can target either one of these. Now, if it's just inside the max boost range but not inside the range of another boat, then it cannot be fired on. That's what the yellow is. And the same thing goes here. That's actually outside of the max boost range of the Mastodon. Do I even lift? I don't really work out much anymore. I used to. But I know you guys are actually seeing what I'm talking about like 20 seconds beforehand. So if I need to jump back at any time, I can. So if you do have any questions, you can just put them here in the Twitch chat. I guess I'll go ahead and jump to the next slide though real quick. I can jump back if I need to. The other hull that's coming out is called the Avenger. It's a limited flagship only hull. Now, I know it will have its own combat speed, but as I understand, it can only go as fast as the slowest hull in the fleet. So generally, it's not a good idea to make your. It's not a good idea to have a whole bunch of boats in your fleet that perform differently. It's just very difficult to manage. So I don't know how much you can actually equip this guy to be faster than everything else in the fastest boat in your fleet, but it won't go. It'll only go as fast as the slowest hull in your fleet. It has what is called a command field. So this is a limited hull like the ECM that has its own tactical field. Okay, and this is called a command field. And any boats inside of that field, as they take damage, they're going to get boosts to the damage, combat speed, and as well as damage resistance. And as they take damage, and that actually does work. It's very similar to Midnight Marauders. No, the command field works to any hull in that fleet. And but the Avenger is very similar to the Midnight Marauder. The Midnight Marauder does the same thing, and you can actually use these together as well. I don't know if the Avenger's command field is going to have the same max 20%. I assume so. It may. I don't know yet. I'm sure that will be on the blueprint when the blueprint's officially been released, though. And let me see. Flying Sponge asks, so is a proximity-based missile sort of thingy booster? I don't really understand the question. I mean, it is limited. There is a range limitation on it, and as far as a proximity-based missile sort of thingy, it just has to be. Let me go backwards real quick. It just has to be if it's outside of its own weapon range, but it's still inside its max boost range and in the range of another friendly hull, then it can shoot at it. And will the command field apply to any hull or just the Mastodon? Yeah, any hull. That the BTZ asked for that, or BTs. Is that what it's supposed to be? Yep, in the command field, it applies to the whole fleets. Well, I think what he might be asking there is like I don't know if just the one hull that's taking damage is going to be sped up, because that would be bad, right? If just the one hull sped up, because then all of a sudden you've got that issue as far as managing, you know, managing your boats. Because I mean, if you're trying to keep them stacked, you know, that can be bad. So I don't know if it's going to be just the one hull is going to be sped up, and if it is, it's probably only be sped up until it runs outside of this command field range. I don't know how long this command field, how big this thing is going to be. I don't know if it's going to be like ECM type thing. I think that would be like way overpowered if it did, if it was that big. Oh, it's no problem, Flying Sponge. I don't mind stupid questions. I really didn't think it was a stupid question, but um, I don't mind them. Well, the remote targeting RPO lock is that, you know, the remote targeting just means that it can, the Mastodon can shoot beyond its maximum range. So it just means that basically it's a second hull that's primarily doing the targeting for the Mastodon. Now, if you had a whole fleet of Mastodons, this fleet could be potentially quite insane. Like with you know, I know a lot of us when we're hunting subs, you know, we'll tend to spread our boats out. And hey, Immortal, welcome back. You know, so I'd imagine this here can come in really good as far as hunting subs. Resonance battery, yeah, 2 words there, Liam. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too, Timo. I don't know if that's really a good thing. If they aren't the same health and they may potentially have different speeds, yeah, that would be bad. Not sure if there's any more questions. I'm just waiting. I guess you guys can probably see how much latency there is just because your chat comes up on the Twitch feed here. So to me, it looks like I'm answering your questions right away, but you guys don't actually see. So do the rezos get triggered by flag fields? Let me try to understand that. Do rezos get triggered by flag fields? Oh, the resonance battery. It gets this is a friendly field, so is what it sounds like to me for the Avenger. Should be a friendly field. So if you have resonance batteries in your fleet on your different hulls, this should trigger that. Hey, Sir Pimsalot. Hey, thanks for the dredges, by the way. I appreciate that. He gave me 2 of them. Is the Mastodon going to be a great prep fleet? I think that this whole concept is pretty new, and they really haven't said if it was a. The only thing we know is that it's a missile hull. I don't know what the armor points are going to be like. I don't know what any of the specials look like. So I can't really say how great it's going to be just yet, but I know it's just a brand new concept there. Flying Sponge, the Mastodon sounds like something I would put with your interceptors so that the targeting thing would possibly be effective enough. Yeah, I mean, it could be probably pretty good with like a Jug X or any kind of a high evade hull that can actually go into the base. I don't know how much separation there's going to be between the weapon range and the max boost range. I don't know how much separation there's going to be. So, I mean, if it's only 10, obviously, big whoop. But if it's 100, that could be a real big game changer. Resonance battery boosts your speed and damage by 20% if caught in tactical. Yes, yep. So yeah, the resonance battery could be a big awesome thing to put on your Mastodon fleet. I'm sorry, with your Avenger. So resonance should work with a Highlander nuke cruiser. No. The Highlander nuke cruiser, the Savage Kodiak, and the Grimshine, there's no tactical field. You don't actually see a tactical field around that. That's a flagship effect, so it's completely separate from a tactical field. Oh, I see Liam's answering your question too. So, Mastodon puts out an actual field like, yes. No. The Avenger puts out the field. That's not the Mastodon. That is the Avenger. It's the Avenger that has the command field, not the Mastodon. The actual range for the Mastodon, you're not going to be able to see that. That's not a tactical field. Yeah, you're probably right there, Pimslot. I know, you know, the queue is like just ever growing, isn't it, of fleets that you need to be building. You know, I've still never built a Berserker fleet. I haven't built a Kodiak fleet. I've got one Reaper built, and I need a whole fleet of those. You know, I mean, it's just, and I still need to work on my base guard too. So, Liam, did I clear? Hopefully, I cleared things up for you. And I know, Mr. Pimslot, I know you were looking too. So, you know, hopefully, I got everybody